What's up, guys? After weeks of discovering, the Eagles finally got a win, beating the Vikings, beating Carson Wentz. Out of everyone, it takes Carson Wentz for them to win a football game, but
sometimes you got to be able to look backward in order to move forward. You know?
Pretty much. And what you asked for four quarters of complete football, and you didn't get any.
I mean, we got a second half that was really good and an opening drive that was really good.
Yeah.
And
besides that,
it wasn't too great. It was shaky.
Yeah.
It was a good win. There were a lot of good things that you can take away from the win, but overall team performance, I'd still say it was shaky. You know, like
shaky all around. Yeah, mainly from I'd say the run game probably was the worst part.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Which is really, really not what you expected when first drive of the game they ran the ball like 8 times and were pretty successful that entire first drive running the ball. And
then they let Wentz throw, and it's what is he doing? Like Wentz was not a good thrower at all that game, and he somehow threw for 300 yards. He threw for 313 yards, but the Vikings,
that's pretty indicative of what shape the secondary's in right now.
Pretty much, yeah. How you're letting Carson Wentz go 313 yards, but the Vikings only go 1 for 6 in the red zone.
Yeah, so the fact that the Eagles were able to bottle it up and, you know.
Which is good as the red zone defense.
Exactly. But eventually when you have teams that are with better quarterback play than Carson Wentz, you're going to have to prevent them from getting into the red zone because those quarterbacks are most likely going to end up getting their team into the end zone.
And then we've already seen the quarterback already, Jackson Dart. He's going to come to Philadelphia Sunday. We've already seen him. He did pretty well against us. It's going to be another tough challenge to, stop him. Stop him getting in the red zone, even without Malik Neighbors and all these other stars that the Giants have. We're somehow going to get cooked by, God, what's his name again?
Well, so one thing that's different is Carter and Mitchell will both be playing in this game, which they weren't playing the first time that they played. So I would expect the passing game to not be as prolific from the Giants. I wouldn't expect to get carved up by Wan'Dale Robinson and Lil Jordan Humphrey for
that's
like
who it
200 yards.
I keep forgetting
the two of them.
I keep forgetting Lil Jordan Humphrey's name.
Yeah, and I do think that the Eagles are gonna be faced with probably a little bit of some problems on the back end just because Jackson Dart's able to scramble, extend, make plays with his legs.
We saw how Jackson Dart was scrambling in New York. You're definitely going to want to take a look at the film and say, this is what we need to do against him, and you're going to be having some injuries.
And I mean, even though they did have that loss last week to, the Broncos losing
that was absolutely
horrifically.
That was a horrific loss
in the fourth quarter.
You got 33 unanswered points. The Broncos score the first touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Then Jackson Dart throws an interception. The Broncos score again. The Giants go 3-and-out.
Yep.
The Broncos score again to take the lead, and then the Giants score
kick a field goal, right? Or no, they get a touchdown, right?
They got a touchdown, and then the Giants ended up scoring after the Broncos to take the lead. The kicker misses the extra point.
Yep.
And then the Broncos are able to kick a field goal.
Yeah, they get the ball back with 38 seconds left or something like that?
It was under a minute, I know that.
Yeah.
And they were somehow able to drive all the way down the field.
I know, they get 55 yards in a matter of 2 plays, and the game was over. So there is, the possibility that New York comes in either very, defeated off of that loss.
Very angry.
Or very angry.
Which I think it'll be very angry. And I think
I have a feeling it's going to be that as well.
I think that's going to be the same for the Eagles, too, because they're not going to want to lose 2 straight games to the Giants, especially the Eagles usually have the Giants' number, right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to want to come out and put on that same performance you did in Week 6.
Well, I mean, does anyone here realistically think that they're going to perform as badly as they did on Thursday night? Because you can't really perform much worse than they did on Thursday night.
You can't really do, yeah.
They were awful in that game.
If they continue the passing game, if they continue the good passing game, which is fantastic on Sunday.
Yeah, it looked absolutely great in the second half.
Yeah.
And the first drive, too, they had some success throwing the ball. They only threw the ball, I think, like 3 out of the 12 plays or 4 out of the 12 plays.
But it worked,
But
though.
it worked.
Yeah, on fourth down, you got the A.J. Brown touchdown.
Yeah.
And then you had Devontae having the career game.
83 yards?
183 yards. And the deep ball, which they couldn't do in New York.
Yeah.
But they did it in Minnesota.
And, dude, Jalen Hurts is such a good deep ball thrower. Like
if he can locate, yeah, he's so good at throwing the deep ball.
He's really good at just like, you know how like he does like the Russell Wilson lob type of deep ball where he just throws it to a spot and just lets the wide receiver run underneath it instead of trying to like lead him stride for stride. He's like, I'm just gonna toss this ball up freaking 30 yards into the air and it's gonna come down in 60 yards and AJ's just gonna be right underneath it.
That's what happened. It happened with Devontae, and then on third down to seal the game, another deep ball, and AJ was able to get it.
That was a great catch by AJ.
Yeah,
and good awareness to just go down immediately after catching it.
Yeah, the wide receivers were fantastic. AJ, 4 receptions, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devontae, 9 catches, 183 yards, a touchdown. And you had Hurts passing for 326 yards and having a perfect QB rating. So
I think they said it was only the third time in Eagles history that quarterback has finished with a perfect QBR.
So a really good game from Hurts, which is, obviously something you're going to want to see after what happened against the Giants. He wasn't really hitting his targets. He threw an interception.
And
so it was good.
They still threw the ball under 30 times and were able to get as many yards as they did.
Only 23 pass attempts and still able to get 300 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
Wentz threw for 300 yards, but he
had what, like 40 pass attempts or something like that?
He threw the ball like over 40 times.
I think it was like 42.
He was just throwing it out there.
Yeah, he was. I mean, that's because the Vikings, I guess, came into it with the idea that they were going to throw all over the Eagles secondary, I assume.
Well, clearly it didn't work out because Wentz got picked off twice.
Yeah.
Jalix Hunt had the pick 6, and then you had...
That was great play design by Vic Fangio on that play to get, Jalix Hunt into the position he was in to make the interception in the first place, having him drop back in coverage instead of rushing the quarterback. When you're showing blitz, you show that you're bringing like 6 guys, you only bring 4, 2 of them drop back, 1 of them gets the pick 6. It's the exact reason why you draw up plays where your edge rushers drop back into coverage is for situations like that.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you had just your average Wentz throw, just lobbing it,
Yeah, that was
1,000 feet in the air, and it just lands right into Drew Makuba's hands.
At least the one with the Jalix Hunt one is understandable because the pressure got to him immediately.
Yeah.
And
that one is
he's like,
reasonable.
I can't take a sack within my 20-yard line. I have to just throw this ball away.
'Cause that was on third down, I believe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you take a sack, you're down at the...
You're down at what, your 12-yard line? Kicking,
punting, and then the Eagles are getting the football back
right.
at the 50-yard line.
Exactly. And so that one's at least understandable as to why... he like made that throw, even though there was pressure in his face. He probably couldn't see where he was throwing the ball to. He was just trying to get the ball out and past the line of scrimmage to not get, an intentional grounding. That second interception, though, there's like no excuse for that. The play is already broken down. It's been, 6 seconds you've been holding on to the ball.
Just you throw it up there like it was a roller coaster.
Yeah, you're running towards the sideline. You're running backward. You throw the ball off one foot, your back foot, and you lob it into the air into double coverage. Now, I mean, I don't think the play design was double coverage. I think that was some very smart play by Makuba, who realized that's where he was going with the football and then dropped off of his man to make that interception. But still, you have to know, you can't be throwing the ball 40 to 50 yards off your back foot, lopping, towards the sideline and not have that play.
You're talking to Carson Wentz of all quarterbacks, so I don't know.
Not have that play come back to bite you.
I don't know what he saw, but...
Well, I think even in like the interview after the game, he was like, yeah, I don't know why I threw that ball. I was just trying to do too much, trying to...
He was probably better off with throwing the ball away.
Oh, yeah. He was already outside of the pocket. He was about to, like, get pushed out of bounds. Just throw the ball.
Yeah,
just throw the ball into the stands at that point.
Just throw the ball on the sideline.
Like, you're not going to get a penalty. But, you know, hey, Carson being Carson was the thing that ended up getting the Eagles the win.
Well, so. Intentional grounding.
Yeah.
Because remember when he just spiked the ball into the ground?
So, Carson Wentz doing Carson Wentz things definitely, I want to say, helped the Eagles secure this win. But one thing I do want to point out was that first half, they really committed to running the football, right? And they couldn't really get anything going with it.
No, they couldn't get anything going really, like, all game.
So, one formation that they used was either, however you want to call the protection, either jumbo package or max protect or however you want to, you know, call that package, with an extra offensive lineman and 2 tight ends out there on the field. So in the first half, they ran this play 12 different times, and they ran on all 12 of those plays. They ended up going play action off of that same formation in the second half 3 different times, connected all 3 times that they did for over 150 yards, 152 yards. One of the plays that they used that play action formation was the 79-yard touchdown to Devontae. The other one was the 45-yard to A.J. Brown at the end of the game to seal it and win them the game. And the third one was on the drive where they got the field goal, I believe, and Devontae Smith had a 28-yard deep route on a post, where all 3 of those plays, explosive plays, came from this formation. And the only reason that happened was because they only ran the ball out of that formation 12 out of 12 times in the first half, and then passed out of that formation in the second half 3 out of 8 times. And the 3 times that they did pass, they had got big plays every single time. So that shows that's really good play design, and that's really good execution from the actual players. And one of the things that's great is that this is the thing that Devontae Smith, when he was asked about it after the game, said he talked about it with Kevin Patullo in halftime. This is one of those instances where he said he saw that this play would potentially be open in the second half because he knew that his man was cheating to get down to the line of scrimmage whenever they were in that formation. So Devontae noticed this, says something to Patullo. Patullo listens. They end up getting 150 yards from 3 plays.
Yeah, something rare from Kevin Patullo, actually.
Right. So, I mean, if there's going to be like player feedback and stuff like that Patullo isn't afraid to implement within the actual game once it's started, then you might see a lot of this from the Eagles where maybe the first half is a little quiet, but the second half they come out and they really explode.
Well, I feel like you want to see both halves.
Well, yes, 100%
Obviously
you want to see both halves.
I feel like, because this is the same thing that happened against the Rams. They didn't really explode into the second half. But
exactly. And that was by necessity because they were down by 17.
Yeah, they were down by, I think, 19 at that point.
Yeah, either 17 or 19, but they were down by a lot of scores.
The Eagles were up going into halftime.
Right.
It wasn't pretty, but...
No. And one thing to point out is after that opening drive, they had 3 straight 3-and-outs and then 1 drive where they ran 4 plays and it was the end of the half for a net total of, I think, 28 yards.
Yeah, dude, Saquon hasn't been having it. I don't know what it is, but only 18 carries for 44 yards.
We keep hearing from the offensive line that they keep saying they're 1 block away from freeing him and all this other stuff, but
yeah, well,
I don't know how much I buy it.
That's like that Dave Dombrowski shit you were talking about. What if we get that 1 block and Saquon goes? I don't know.
Exactly, but you can sit there.
What if Saquon slips and falls?
Exactly. What if you get that 1 block and Saquon runs into your ass and fumbles the football?
Exactly.
We've seen the Mark Sanchez play before. We all know it's possible of happening. So, with the what if stuff, I don't like to lean into the what if stuff. And I don't think you really like to lean into the what if stuff.
The what if stuff is incredibly stupid. It's like...
Because it didn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
So there's no what if that, what if this. I could say that about my life, too. What if I got a 1,500 on the SAT? I want to be sitting here right now.
Yeah.
get a 1,500 on the SAT. That's the point. So whenever people start going with this could have happened, and the offensive line is saying, if we got this block, then Saquon could have ran for 79 yards or whatever. I don't really buy into it. I think it's just the fact that this offensive line is banged up and has been basically banged up this entire season.
Mm-hmm. And you got Dickerson being a limited participant for. I
mean, outside of
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Game 1, have they had a single game where every offensive lineman that started the game ended up finishing it? I don't think they have.
I don't think so. Yeah.
At every game, either Dickerson's been taken out or Jurgens has been taken out.
Yeah, Jurgens hasn't practiced. I think for
there was a couple
3 straight days.
I think there was one game where Mailata was out for a couple of drives because there was some, potential concussion protocol with him. And
Lane Johnson came out.
Lane Johnson's come out multiple times. So the only guy that has been basically in there every single game has been Steen. And there was even that one injury scare that Steen had. I think in week 3, he was down for a little bit. He was off for a couple of series. Toth came in and did horrible. And then Steen came back in.
Toth came in and did horrible against at center. So,
well, I kind of feel bad for him in that retrospect because he's not a center. Toth is a tackle that they have moved to center out of necessity because they have no one else to use as backup center. So I'm not entirely sure that it's necessarily fair to jump on Brett Toth when you're asking some guy that's usually going to be weighing 350 pounds as a tackle to be agile and move like a center. That's not really a lot. That's a lot to ask of a guy that's never played center before in the NFL. Like Toth has been here for a long time, but he's always been the outside line. And in times they've worked him in guard because Pryor's been so bad this season that he's just kind of been the plug and play guy. Hey, someone goes down, Toth, you know what our scheme is like, you're going to go out there. So I feel kind of bad because there's been a lot of people getting on Toth for the fact that he didn't have a good game last week. And
he's probably going to start at center again because Jurgens hasn't practiced in 3 days.
Yeah.
And that's the same with AJ.
They have no true backup center, and that's the real issue, is the fact that they don't have a true backup center for Cam Jurgens. So anyone who you throw in there, regardless of if it's Brett Toth or someone else like Pryor or Johnson, none of them are going to have experience snapping the ball either or playing center either. So Toth, I guess, is just the best of what they have at the position for the moment.
The depth that they have at the center position is
basically non-existent.
Yeah,
you have
much.
Cam Jurgens, and that's pretty much it. You can't have your long snapper come in to, snap the ball as the center every play.
You get demolished.
That's not going to work out.
Crushed.
So that's going to be something that maybe they explore in practice a little bit this week, is maybe moving around the offensive line to see if there's anyone that could potentially back up Jurgens instead of Toth. But from what we've seen so far with how much Toth has played, I would expect it to be Toth to start probably this week if Cam Jurgens isn't ready to go, which it doesn't really seem like he's going to.
Same with AJ. He hasn't practiced for 3 straight days.
Yeah, but also AJ had that...
He's got that hamstring issue.
He had the same thing earlier in the season where, remember, he didn't play all the preseason games. He wasn't practicing up until I think it was like 2 days before the game. And then all of a sudden he practices and he plays in week 1 and he was fine.
So I don't know if they're going to play him on his snap count or maybe just be limited with him or he's not going to play at all. But it's a good thing that Devontae Smith is playing good football recently because if AJ's not playing, he's going to be getting most of the targets.
Yeah, if AJ's not playing, I would definitely expect a lot of volume from Dallas Goedert as well. Goddard has gotten a lot of volume in games
Goddard being the leading receiver on this team.
Right, and first, 6 weeks when AJ Brown wasn't doing anything, Goddard was getting, 8, 9 receptions a game. So I would expect if AJ's going to miss some time, that Dallas Goedert is going to, be a much bigger factor in the game plan. And maybe you might see a little bit of play design to try to get Jahan Dotson in some open space, maybe. just to see what he can do with yards after the catch. But mostly the ball is going to be going to either Devontae
or
Dallas Goedert, and potentially Barkley, because they do like to throw the ball to Barkley out of the backfield on a couple of wheel routes, or, we've seen them line him up as a wide receiver in certain portions of games.
Like they love doing those check downs to Saquon.
Yeah, so I would expect there to be probably more of that instead of a leaning more on the backups behind A.J. Brown from the wide receiver position. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether or not Barkley is going to be getting all of the opportunities to catch passes out of the backfield. They might have A.J. Dillon and Will Shipley fill in for that, probably more A.J. Dillon than Shipley. But I would still expect there to be a very high volume going to Saquon Barkley, regardless of whether or not he's running or passing, just because the fact that it's the Giants coming up. They're going to want to run the ball. The Giants are not very good stopping the run this season.
Yeah, the Giants have allowed, on average, 131 rushing yards per team.
They're going to heavily try to get Saquon really going in this game, especially if there's no AJ.
So the guy, I'm playing someone who's 0-7 in fantasy.
Oh, God.
And he's got Saquon on his team, so this is going to be the game that Saquon breaks out and ends up getting like 3 touchdowns.
Yep, he's going to end up going for 46 fantasy points.
Yep,
he's going to have the highest scoring fantasy game of the season.
And to get my first, I'm going to give him his first win of the season.
Well, my team has been on a pretty bad losing streak because everyone...
You've had all your players out. Puka Nacua.
Dude, everyone on my team just keeps getting
Marvin
hurt.
Harrison.
Nico Collins was hurt for a couple of weeks. Ricky Pearsall's been hurt for like 5 weeks now. I still got Bass and Ayuk on IR.
I'm beating him right now by 38, so if anything happens...
You're probably going to end up beating me this week.
I'm probably going to end up, but who knows?
Jordan Mason got me 1.4 points, bro. 1.4.
I think they activated Aaron Jones to play.
Yeah, they did. So I'm about to have 2 running backs on my team that average like 5 freaking points a game in RJ Harvey and Jordan Mason.
Ridiculous.
And I've given up. I feel like
you're going to have to make a trade for a running back.
Dude, my flex last week, I had Darren Waller and Harold Fannin Jr., both of my starting lineup last week.
And now Darren Waller's on IR.
Yeah, and now Waller's on freaking IR. So my team, I changed my name to Team IR, if anyone is interested, just because the amount of injuries have completely derailed my season so far. But we'll get to our fantasy start and sits in a little bit. Let's keep it going here.
One more thing about the Eagles.
Yeah, with the Eagles.
We gotta talk about BG.
Coming back, man.
Yeah.
And coming back, and apparently, according to Andrew DeCecco, he's one of the beat writers for the Philadelphia Eagles, he said that they're trying to get him to play 15 snaps this week. So
we'll take it.
I mean,
who knows how he's actually going to do?
Yeah, I don't know how productive he'll be.
He's only practiced, I think, for 3 days.
But they feel comfortable enough to throw him out there for 15 plays.
Enough to use Brandon Graham for 15 plays, even if it's like garbage time, still, it's 15 snaps. He's getting reps in.
I mean, it's 15 snaps that you got him on the field instead of Azeez Ojulari or Josh Uche, and I'll take that. Take BG over those two.
He'll get 15 snaps, and then they got the bye week, and then after that, he'll probably be getting consistent snaps after the bye week once they get to the tougher teams like the Packers and the Lions.
Last year, he was only getting, 25 or 30% of the snaps? So I'd probably he's
15,
around that same
probably.
mark.
Maybe even 15 to 20%.
Yeah, maybe 15 to 20% of the snaps that he's on the field. But still, for that 15 to 20%, you're a much better team with him on the field than with him off the field, It's not like this was some guy that had nothing left at the tank at the end of the year last year. He, had a freaking sack and tore his triceps in the Super Bowl. So it's not like this is a guy that's washed up that doesn't have anything left in the tank. He still more football in him.
He still wants to play.
Oh, yeah. And
I didn't think he really wanted to retire in the first place. He eventually did say that.
I mean, he did. Yeah, he even said, he was like, I didn't really want to retire. I just retired because it was the perfect, ending to
the scenario, yeah,
right,
winning the Super Bowl.
Tore my triceps twice in the same season, 36 years old, running out of my contract with the team, second Super Bowl for, he was the one is he the only player that was on both of those Super Bowl teams?
You got Lane Johnson.
Johnson. Yeah,
Jake
Lane
Elliott.
Johnson and Jake Elliott are still there. But still, basically this guy is one of the guys that defines the Eagles' greatness over the past 20 to 25 years. And it seemed right for him to go out with a Super Bowl.
Johnson. Kelsey.
Cox. Dawkins, you got to throw in there because he's a Hall of Famer.
Those four players right there are going to define the Eagles' success around the late 2010s, early 2020s. So.
Yeah, and you can't have a Super Bowl without Brandon Graham's name being all over it, diving for that fumble.
Strip sacking,
exactly. So,
Brady's still crying like a girl after he realizes he's losing to a backup quarterback.
So it's nice to have him back. I'm sure everyone in the locker room is much happier that he's back. I mean, when I think they had talked to a couple of guys since the news broke, and they were over the moon that BG was coming back. So whether or not it's going to be strictly on-field production that he's going to bring, he's also going to bring swagger, trash talk, confidence, leadership, and
something leadership. These young guys could really use that leadership from Brandon Graham.
So whether or not he makes a big impact on the field with his play, his presence on this team, I think, will be a big impact regardless. And if he's gonna take someone under his wing, to kind of mentor, because that's the position that he's at in his career,
pretty much,
is to mentor some of these younger guys. I wonder if he's going to be able to do anything with Jalix Hunt.
I'm thinking either Jalix Hunt or Josh Uche.
Well, Uche and Ojulari are both veterans. They've been here. They don't need veteran leadership. Those are guys that have bounced around from team to team.
Jalix Hunt,
right? So Jalix Hunt getting in there with BG, that's probably going to have a very positive effect on Jalix Hunt's career, or at least for this season, up until the end of it. I would expect his numbers to probably go up a little bit, just because he's going to be rushing opposite BG, and he's going to be able to learn from him in practice, and BG is going to be able to tell him, hey, in this situation, you need to be here on the field, because you got to remember, this is still a guy in Jalix Hunt who's 2 years removed from being a safety in college. He wasn't a defensive end when he came into this league. Vic Fangio made him one last year. So he's still learning the position. He's still trying to probably really get comfortable as a true defensive end and a pass rusher. And having Brandon Graham around is definitely going to do a lot for his development going forward.
Fantasy football.
Okay, yeah. So you want to do your start and sits first?
Yeah, we kind of really didn't label whose is who. So
I know which ones are yours. Yours are the top ones, and mine are the bottom ones.
Yeah. So my starts are Kayshon Boutte versus Cleveland, because I think him and Drake May are going to be a really good connection.
Drake May has been phenomenal all year too.
Yeah, I had to pick up Drake May in fantasy for that exact reason.
Yeah, I mean he's been fantastic all year, which I definitely did not expect him to have this big of a jump. If anyone I expected to have this big of a jump from year 1 to year 2 was probably Bo Nix.
But it's been Drake May out of all the teams. Been Drake May. He's got a good veteran wide receiver.
And he's got a very good offensive coordinator up there in Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
Going back to where it all began for him up in New England, making an ass out of himself.
I got Daniel Jones versus the Titans.
Yep, that's probably a very good.
And then
they're coming off bye week too, aren't they, as well? Indianapolis?
Indianapolis, I think, just won. I think it was a close game. It was against the Chargers. They just won.
Oh, I thought that they were coming off bye week.
No, I think Tennessee might be coming off bye week.
Okay.
And then I got Rome Odons versus...
Yeah, Rome Odons.
Versus Baltimore.
However you pronounce that name.
I really think Baltimore is going to fall to 1-6, but...
Well, Baltimore just kind of seems like a team
they've been dealing with a lot of injuries, too. You got Lamar Jackson.
Baltimore is a team that is kind of just dead in the water at this point due to all the injuries. Unlike different team that's dead in the water because they've quit on their head coach. But we don't have any of those players in our stuff, so I'll leave that for another time.
Dolphins. All right, I'll do my sits now. So I got Terry McLaurin versus Kansas City. So it is actually Terry McLaurin's supposed to be his first game back, and his quarterback is Marcus Mariota.
Probably not the greatest.
He'll definitely be getting targets, but I don't know how he's going to be with that Kansas City secondary. Mariota did not look good against Dallas.
And honestly, Deebo Samuel's been the one that's been the fantasy producer.
Yeah, Deebo Samuel's
Terry
been
McLaurin.
The best receiver the Commanders have had all season. And then my next player is Keon Coleman at Carolina.
Yeah, the Coleman one at Carolina. Interesting enough, though, didn't Coleman used to be on Carolina, if I remember correctly? Is this a revenge game for Keon Coleman, potentially?
Did he get drafted by Carolina?
I think he did, didn't he?
He got drafted by the Bills, yeah.
Oh, the Bills, the different blue team. The blue jerseys, they all mix together. But I do like that Carolina's got a pretty good defense, and Keon Coleman's not the number one receiver on that team by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not right now.
So, and then here, my starting sits. So I got Bo Nix going up against Dallas, and as we said last week, basically any offensive player going up against Dallas is a must start in any situation because their defense can't stop anything. They've given up, I think, 40 points or more in 4 out of the 8 games so far this season, which is absolutely ridiculous. So anyone that has any player going up against Dallas from here until the end of the year, or at least until Dallas can show that they're not the worst team on defense, just start them in your lineup. Next, I got Baker Mayfield going up against New Orleans. Now, these games are usually very tight, and they usually are won by, I think, the past 8 times that these teams have played each other, the score's been decided by 3 points or fewer every single time. So there's going to be a lot of back and forth, and I expect that Baker Mayfield is probably going to have to make a lot of very big throws coming towards the end of the game if Tampa Bay is going to pull out a win there. Then I got Isaiah Pacheco against Washington. Washington hasn't looked great on defense all year, and Pacheco seems to be getting the bulk of the goal line opportunities. So even if he's not, a true feature back, he's still got a pretty high floor just because of the touchdown potential. And then I got Alvin Kamara. Same thing with Baker Mayfield. This is going to be a game where New Orleans is going to be in the game for most of the game. So Kamara is going to get opportunities to run. He's going to get opportunities to catch the ball out of the backfield. Probably going to get a touchdown, I would assume. He usually plays very well against Tampa Bay. So Alvin Kamara definitely a lock for this week. Now, I'm not entirely sure if you're going to be happy with this one. Wan'Dale Robinson. With no Malik Neighbors and the fact that Lil Jordan Humphrey is probably going to be back on the Walmart aisle pretty soon, Wan'Dale Robinson, I think, is going to have a much larger game than what he did last time against the Eagles, because last time against the Eagles, it was basically Lil Jordan Humphrey that really carved them up.
It's Lil Jordan Humphrey and Jackson Dart.
So this time, I feel like it's going to be Wan'Dale's time. He still did get, I think he got like 19 points against the Eagles the last time that they played, and I would expect him to at least get a decent amount of targets and decent amount of deep shots, 2 or 3. And if he's able to connect on one of those, he's probably going to be a good start this week. And then the last one, Noah Fant going up against the New York Jets. He got, I think, 19 points last week. Joe Burrow seems to really like throwing to the tight end.
Well, Joe Burrow's not the quarterback.
Well, Cincinnati? Yeah, he is. Noah Fant's on Cincinnati now.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow's not the quarterback. Where's Joe Burrow?
Oh, wait, no. Joe Flacco. Yeah, my bad. I completely... Wrong Joe. My bad. So Joe Flacco seems to really like throwing to Noah Fant. And we all know that if Joe Flacco's on the team and he's the starting quarterback, he's going to throw the ball like 40 to 45 times a game. So I would definitely look at Noah Fant. If no one's picked him up in your fantasy league, you might want to consider picking him up, because I don't think last week was an anomaly. I think last week is probably what is going to be the formula going forward, especially because Joe Flacco doesn't have the arm strength to sling the ball 60 yards 7 different times a game. I mean, he can do that once or twice a game to Jamar Chase, but, he can't be throwing the ball 70 yards through the air 10 times in a game like he used to be able to. So he's going to be relying on his tight end for some of those bail-me-out throws, and Noah Fant's going to be open. He's a very big body. He's like 6'5", I think 235.
Oh, my goodness.
Like, he's huge. The Seattle Seahawks did not use him effectively when they had him on their team. But that's my starts, and then my sits for this week. I got C.J. Stroud going up against a very tough San Francisco 49ers defense, and San Francisco has looked pretty good just as a whole throughout this entire season, while the Texans offense hasn't really seemed like it's been able to really get too much going. So definitely C.J. Stroud I would look to sit. Tony Pollard against Indianapolis. Pollard had a quieter game last week, and going up against Indianapolis, which I think has the 5th ranked rush defense. Wouldn't expect them to be rushing the ball. They're probably going to be trailing for most of this game. And if that's the case, Tony Pollard's just not going to get the touches for you to, start him in your league this week. Zay Flowers going up against Chicago. Chicago's got a good secondary, plus I'm not entirely sure what type of condition Lamar Jackson's going to be in, how healthy he's going to be, and how he's going to look. So for that reason, Zay Flowers is a little shaky. And then Theo Johnson versus the Eagles. He's definitely not going to have the week that he did last week. Eagles have been very good against tight ends all season long, and I would not expect Theo Johnson to get 13 to 14 points like he had last week. Probably more along the lines of like 5 to 6.
Probably, yeah. But Eagles do really good against, besides Hockenson, who did drop that football, but...
I mean, outside of that one play, Hockenson didn't really have much to contribute to that game.
Not that much, yeah.
So they've been really good against tight ends all year. It's the wide receivers that they have trouble with.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard when you have Adoree Jackson on your secondary. But
speaking of, is he going to play this week?
They should be getting Jacorian Bennett back from IR.
So. Oh, yeah. They're getting Jacorian Bennett back, because I still haven't heard whether or not he's going to be able to play Jackson due to his concussion.
Yeah, I don't think he's practiced all week.
So probably no Adoree Jackson this week. Hopefully that doesn't mean that the defense gets worse. Could you imagine if the defense looks worse without Adoree Jackson in there?
That's just a sign.
That would be really, really eye-opening. I feel like for a lot of people around the Delaware Valley, they'd be like, wow, Adoree Jackson's actually the best guy that we have for this? Holy crap, we're in trouble. But that's all we got on the fantasy start and sits. You want to move into the fact that we just had a start to a season the other night.
Pretty much, yeah. Look at that. The Sixers are 1-0, and they beat off the Celtics 117-116.
In Boston, too.
In Boston,
by the way.
Very close game. Very good game. And we got to talk about VJ Edgecombe.
Yeah, VJ Edgecombe.
Unbelievable. 34 points, 3rd most ever by a rookie.
Which is crazy.
Passed AI for his 30 points at a Sixers debut.
I think they said it was the most points that any rookie has scored in a debut since Wilt Chamberlain in 1959.
Yeah, since Wilt Chamberlain.
In 1959,
so that's a...
crazy.
That is a long time ago. And then you got Maxey following him up with 40 points.
Going 7 of 9 from 3, yeah. Dude. That looked fantastic.
Even VJ was looking good from beyond the arc, too.
But the thing with Maxey is the fact that he didn't shoot good from 3 last year. So the fact that he went 7 of 9, getting off to that good start from 3, love that.
That shows you that we gotta, we can trust that. We can trust someone to shoot from outside of the arc.
Well, it shows that his hand is actually healthy as opposed to last year. Remember last year he was dealing with that, was it a pinky or a ring finger issue that he had? He had some type of finger injury last year. That was the thing that they eventually, shut him down for the rest of the season.
They shut everyone down.
But he was playing through it for a little while, and I think that's why his numbers looked so bad last season, is because he was that injury must have had a greater effect on his play than anyone anticipated. One thing that did not look very good, though, was Joel Embiid.
Was Joe, yeah. Well, one thing I say it's like 50-50. One thing that did not look good was Joel Embiid, but one thing that did look good was actually him being on the court, which is something that I don't think a lot of Sixers fans anticipated to see. Joel Embiid back on the court just after getting the surgery in, I believe it was 8 February, coming back.
I mean, I don't think...
A lot of time to recover. Had playing very conservative was a thing, yeah. 4 points, 1 out of 9 shooting. It was just... I think it was just him to get out there and...
Get his feet wet again.
Get his feet wet, yeah. And Nick Nurse said he was rusty.
Yeah, which you gotta expect.
Probably the best way to say that, rusty. But I think with, he gets back to full speed. He gets back to his, Joel self. Because we know how talented he can be when he's fully healthy. So I think once he becomes fully healthy, he'll be back to his regular self.
I agree to a certain extent, just because... the degenerative knee condition, he's never going to be the same that he was, or at least I don't think he's ever going to be the same that he was, because he's not going to be able to move the same way that he used to be able to. He used to be able to comfortably take the ball at the top of the key and drive the paint, which is something that you don't see out of guys at his size. He's not going to be able to do that anymore. Plus, he's not going to be able to sit there and run the court and run the floor like he used to in transition. Now, I know that there were plenty of times where he was the trailer coming up, to shoot the three once the transition of the fast break ended. But you're probably going to see a lot more of that, and you're probably going to see a lot less of him in the paint, just due to the fact that you can't have a degenerative knee condition and be banging knees down there for 30 minutes a game, So I do think that we're going to see a 85 to 90% version of Joel Embiid. I just don't know if he's ever going to get back to that full domination that he once had, just for the fact that his movement's never going to be the same.
So imagine this. Imagine if VJ keeps playing like that all year, and Maxey does his thing, and McCain comes back from injury, does his thing, and Joel stays healthy, and PG plays like he's actually worth... Yo, give me the keys, I'll be in the car.
I mean, this could potentially be a very, very good
This could be
team
a very, very good team.
if everyone stays healthy.
Yes, which is...
That's the biggest thing.
The biggest thing, because the Sixers, they love to get injured.
Well, the thing with Paul George, I think he's going to be ready by next week or two. They said he's going to be ready very soon.
Paul George is going to be coming back soon.
Yeah, so I would expect probably... next week, we're going to at least see him practicing, if not playing. And one thing I'm looking forward to, or at least looking to really gauge, is how McCann's going to be when he comes back. Because didn't he have a Achilles injury last year? Or was it an ACL?
I think it was the Achilles.
Yeah, and
so he's going to come back, and we don't know how well he's going to be doing. So.
Yeah, Achilles injury is never easy to come back from. I mean, look at Dame Lillard. Last season.
Pretty much.
It's definitely going to help the fact that he is so young, so his body is going to be strong and able to recover very quickly from the Achilles, and hopefully it strengthens and comes back stronger due to the fact that this injury happened to him at such a young age. My only thing is, you're having an Achilles injury at, he's what, 19?
He's in his early 20s, yeah. He's 21.
Okay, he's 21. Having an Achilles injury at 21...
That's very young.
That's really young to be getting a Achilles injury. And you just never know how a player is going to be when they come back from an Achilles, we've seen Achilles injuries ruin plenty of careers. I mean, Ryan Howard, look at Aaron Rodgers. I mean, not to say that Rodgers' career is ruined, but he's definitely not the same.
Didn't RG3 have an Achilles injury?
I think his was all ACL.
Okay.
I think he tore his ACL 3 different times, RG3, which that's freaking insane.
Yeah, RG3 would have been something if it wasn't for those injuries.
But, Lillard Lillard with his Achilles last year. I'm pretty sure Gordon Hayward had an Achilles injury his first year with the Celtics, and then he was never the same after that. So Achilles injuries are tricky, you know?
So they'll just be monitoring it throughout the season, and he'll definitely be limited points, just like Joel and probably PG for the beginning of the season.
Right.
This East is very weak.
It's wide open.
It's
wide open right now.
The only competition I'd probably say is the Cavaliers and the Knicks.
Yeah,
and the Jason Tatum-less Celtics, the Tyrese Halliburton-less Pacers.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, not only do you have those two guys that are out and probably not gonna. Tatum is already confirmed to not come back at all this season, right?
Yeah, Tatum and Halliburton.
Oh, I thought there was a chance Halliburton could come back for the end of the season.
They both tore their
Achilles, right?
In the playoffs.
Yeah, so they're both done for this entire season. And that leaves, the Magic? Because the Magic were a top 3 seed last year, weren't they?
Yeah.
I don't really know
how. The Magic's going to be in that mix. The Pistons probably going to be in that mix.
Yeah, Pistons will be in there too.
Celtics will probably make the playoffs.
What about the Heat?
I could definitely see the Heat probably making it, and it is maybe like a
7 or an 8, maybe.
Yeah,
7 or an 8
probably
seed.
A playing spot.
But they definitely have an opportunity to be one of the top 3 teams, probably in the East. At least top 4.
Yeah, top 4 maybe. If everyone stays healthy, this team could definitely be top 4. The only problem is just making it out of the second round.
Well, hopefully that should be something that's a lot more easier to achieve this year, just based off the fact that the conference is weak right now. And you have to take advantage of the fact the conference is weak.
Yeah, if they can't take advantage of a weak conference, who knows what next season's going to be like.
Exactly. I mean, you're going to have Halliburton and Tatum that are back, plus whoever ends up joining, because
via like a free agent or a trade or a draft pick.
I highly doubt that the Celtics will, not add anyone to play alongside Jason Tatum. That
goes, and the same for the Pacers.
Exactly. So there's going to be some major power shifts that come at the end of this season for the East. So the Sixers really got to take advantage of the opportunity to grab on while there's this power vacuum and really just be like, hey, we got all these stars that are here. We got up-and-coming players. We got young rookies that seem like they're able to contribute and play on both sides of the ball. This is our year to really get through and at least get into the Eastern Conference Finals, if not the NBA Finals.
Yeah, but this could be a whole overreaction, and who knows how they're going to become it's January or February.
It's just one game.
It's just one game, but they look good. So
they did look. It looked like it's the first time in a while that I can sit there and say, wow, there's actually some hope for this team going forward. So that's a win, and that's going to get at least a couple people on board to ride this thing out with the team up until the end.
I agree. And so next couple of games will be Saturday versus the Hornets. That's the home opener. Then you got a back-to-back.
No Terry Rozier.
Yeah. You got a back-to-back Monday and Tuesday against the Magic and at Washington.
While we're on the topic of the association, before we move on
we'll talk about that betting.
The union. Let's talk about this craziness that's going on here.
That is some crazy betting stuff that's going on.
So to anyone that isn't familiar with what we're talking about, you must live under a rock. But there was a massive FBI announcement yesterday that they arrested 34 different people with indictment charges on fraud, money laundering, trading player information, wire transfer fraud, and a whole bunch of other slew of charges. Now, the two main guys, at least so far, from this indictment is
Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups.
Yep. And I'll let you go over the Terry Rozier part if you want to go over the Terry part, because I really want to get to the Chauncey part. Because the Chauncey thing blows my goddamn mind.
The Terry Rozier part was he was telling people like
one of his childhood friends.
Yeah,
it was like Thomas Laster.
Telling him like, yo, bet his unders bet his unders, and he would exit the game. He exited the game with like a fake injury or whatever.
Yeah, foot injury.
Yeah, foot injury, but he was perfectly fine. Ended up exiting the guy, ended up cashing out his bet for like $200,000.
No, $200,000 is how much he put on it.
Oh, shit.
Not how much.
So he ended up cashing out for more than $200,000.
Yeah, he put $200,000 on his unders, dude.
Oh, so he probably cashed out at somewhere over $1 million, probably.
Like, if that doesn't raise a whole bunch of red flags, I don't know what does. The fact that there's $200,000 coming in on someone's under. Not their overs, their unders.
Yeah,
no one bets unders.
No one bets like that for unders unless they know they're like trash.
Yeah, like I've taken an under, I believe, like 3 times in my life, and that's it. It's the most boring thing to bet your money on.
No one's putting a mortgage on an under.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna bet that this guy has an awful game.
And then ironically comes out after 9 minutes. Like, didn't even make it obvious one bit.
I think his total stat line for that game was like 5 points, 2 assists, and 3 rebounds or something like that.
Wow.
In 9 minutes of game time he had. And that's just one of the instances where Terry Rozier was caught doing some stuff. There was another game in, I believe, when he was playing for Miami, where it was the final, 3 minutes of the game, and he committed 5 turnovers in the final 3 minutes and airballed the last shot of the game, which was a 3 that would have been for his team to win the game. And he airballed it.
He airballed
Straight airballed
purposely,
it. Didn't make any contact.
Purposely losing the game.
Yeah, he threw the game. He committed a whole bunch of turnovers and then threw the last shot of the game to make sure the bet hit, and he was able to get the money with his friend. Now, one of the interesting things is they said after that game with the Hornets, where, he only played for 9 minutes, he had the 5 points, he flew back here to Philadelphia without his team to have his childhood friend that he told the information to pick him up from the airport and then drive back to his house to count the money.
Oh my goodness, what?
Yeah. And not thinking that was going to get flagged as something suspicious.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave this game after I take my foot out, after I take my team out of the game with a supposed foot injury, after having it not appear on the injury report all week. Then I'm going to not fly back home with my team. I'm going to take a private flight to go see my childhood friend for some unnamed reason, and then I'll meet up with you guys next week.
It's just so it's just so obvious. Like,
what the hell?
They don't hide it at all, which is ridiculous.
And since this initially came out, we've seen stuff where LeBron's injury status was being sold to bettors that were buying the information for $100,000. This is insane. This is a league-wide thing. Think about it. You got Terry Rozier, who, when this initially happened, the NBA suspended him. He didn't play the entire rest of that season, yet he's able to play this season.
Yeah,
after the NBA had an investigation and cleared him. The NBA cleared him to play.
What kind of investigation was that?
Exactly. So either the NBA is not taking this seriously, or someone had an egregious fuck up during the investigation.
The FBI is getting into this now.
Yeah, by the fact that literally 7 games into the season that you said, yo, you're cleared of your betting stuff, you're good to play. He's now getting arrested by the FBI for the very thing you cleared him to play for. What are you doing, NBA? What are you doing?
Well, you talk about Chauncey now.
So the Chauncey one is absolutely insane to me. And for this, I'm going to pull straight from the ESPN article, just because I don't want to mince anything, don't want to confuse, don't want there to be any, room for interpretation on what exactly is going on here. So, Chauncey Billups was playing in rigged underground poker games. He was arrested in Oregon and is charged with wire fraud, money laundering, but this underground poker ring that he was involved with was ran and backed by the 5 families of the New York Mafia. So, like the thing that like The Sopranos is based off of, like those are the people that were running these poker games, was those guys. All right? So
it's so funny.
These are not people messing around with the money that they have, all right? These are people that are willing to kill to get their money from these people that they're basically extorting at these poker games. Now, the way that they were doing this is Chauncey Billups was kind of used as a bait to get professional gamblers, professional poker players, to come to these events. Because, number one, they get to sit there, they get to talk with Chauncey, they get to have the experience of being a high roller, betting at the high table, being with an NBA star, all that stuff, right? But what they didn't know was that Chauncey and the places where these games were being held, where these poker matches were being played, had very sophisticated technological cheating devices, essentially, where they had X-ray tables, and it was a point made by the people running that your wallet had to be on the table while you were playing.
Oh, that doesn't seem any suspicious at all. That your wallet has to be on the table.
Your wallet needs to, like, your money and your wallet need to be on the table if you're playing.
I'm sure.
For the specific reason.
I'm sure nothing will happen at all.
That they could scan the wallets through the X-ray table and find out your credit card information, find out your bank account information, steal from your account without having log in as you, all this. So that's just one part of it. The other part of it.
I can't believe like people would fall for that. Like, yo, put your wallet on the table. Why do I gotta put my wallet on the table? No reason whatsoever.
I'm not entirely sure how they were able to get away with that, but you have that happening. You also have, you said that they were also using these tables so that there was obviously people around the poker table who aren't playing, right? To enforce the rules of the game, to make sure that no one is cheating, or at least no one is cheating against the house because the house is cheating. So these people are around the room, and this table, this X-ray table, has the capability to just show what the cards were while they're face down. And then these people who are supposed to be monitoring the game for cheating are able to relay this information to the dealer. So now the dealer knows who has what cards he has, and if he can win. So if he should fold or if he should continue betting. Not only that, they had sophisticated or extremely advanced automated card shufflers that you would put the cards in, and it would tell you, after they shuffled the deck, which card is in which spot. So it would tell you, face down to the card on the top, which card is which in the deck. So if you're sitting there dealing, I can just look at this little screen right here next to my card shuffler, and I know what the next card's going to be. So let's say I need, King of Hearts to get a royal flush. I can literally sit there and check before the hand even starts if that card is going to come out during this hand. And if I know it's going to come out as the last card, I can sit there and I can go all in because I know I'm going to win as soon as that last card comes out. No one's going to expect it, and then bam, I just took $200,000 from everyone at this table.
That's like some advanced technology over some poker. And that's the craziest shit ever. Dude.
Not only that, Chauncey Billups was also apparently at these poker games divulging Portland Trailblazers information, telling the people at the poker game, yo, it's the Portland Trailblazers organizational philosophy to play all of our young guys the next week coming up to the end of the season because we want to know if these guys are any good or not. Basically telling people, hey, we're not going to play our starters for a whole week because we want to see if these young guys can play. One of those games in question, Portland played against Chicago Bulls. They lost by 28 points. They had a rookie guarding Zach LaVine for 38 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
For 38 minutes during the game. Dude, Zach LaVine drops 33 points on him, right?
Oh, I would assume he would.
Chauncey Billups is asked after the game, why did you have him defending Zach LaVine the entire game? Chauncey Billups' response, he needs to know what it's like to be thrown out into the fire in the NBA. He needs to see what the fire is like.
He's not
going to
play another game in the NBA ever again.
Like, I just don't understand how you can be just so egregiously doing things that are very uncommon and raise a lot of suspicion and raise eyebrows and think you can get away with it. Like, so Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, apparently Terry Rozier has been cooperating with this investigation for the entirety of the past year. Now, that leads me to believe there's going to be a lot more than just Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be more.
He's been cooperating with them for a year.
Oh, wow.
You don't think he's given them names, account numbers, addresses of places where this shit is going on just in order to save his own ass? 100% he has. So there's definitely going to be a lot more that comes out from this, and even Kash Patel came out and said at the press conference, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
So there's going to be more coming out over the following weeks.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more that comes out. And if it's all centered around the NBA, this could potentially tank the NBA's profits for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
In which case, you're going to see teams fold. You're going to see teams move cities. You're going to see players get suspended and barred indefinitely from the league. Coaches, management, referees. Apparently Scott Foster is involved in all of this somehow.
Oh, what the hell?
Yes. They went through the FBI and looked and found that there's a substantial amount of Game 5s where teams are up 3-1 that Scott Foster officiates, where those playoff rounds end up going to a Game 7.
Oh, wow.
Which is insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, the Game 7s are fun, but
I think they said 7 out of the last 9 times he was in a Game 5, that series went to 7 games, which is a bit eyebrow-raising, especially when you have had previous refs come out and admit, I rigged this game. That team should have won, and I made sure that I called a foul to get that guy to the foul line so that they would win. Like, there's one specific NBA official, former NBA official, Tim something, I forget the last name, but he was rigging games for 15 years. He was rigging games, taking bribes for 15 years before the NBA caught on.
Yeah, this Instagram post just said Kevin Garnett was one of the athletes who played in the private poker games.
So, boom, right? Dude, it's probably Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, like NBA insiders, like probably like Kendrick Perkins. Like there's a whole bunch of people. Part of this thing was to get celebrities to come to these events to lure in bettors, because they're like, oh, Chauncey Billups doesn't know anything about poker. He's got a shit ton of money. I'm just going to go to this game and I'm going to take all his money because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Little do they know they're showing up at a rigged event to get all their money taken from them. And this is apparently something that's been going on for years, because I was listening to 97.5 earlier, and they played a soundbite from someone's podcast where he was talking about this in 2023, about being invited to a poker game with Chauncey Billups, and he turned it down because he was like, something seems like it's not right about this.
So, he made the right damn decision.
This was in 2023.
So you telling me this shit's probably been going on for years?
Yes. And there's going to be a lot more names that end up getting released, and a lot of people are probably going to get taken down for this, going to get barred from the league, barred from ever playing NBA basketball again, coaching, doing anything affiliated with the league. And this is probably going to be something where we're going to see continuous names come out for the next year, 2, 3 years. This is going to shake
the league forever.
Yeah. It's probably the biggest sports betting scandal since Pete Rose betting on baseball.
Probably.
Or no, since the Shohei Ohtani thing, because that was the more recent one. Yep. But outside of that, that's literally like the biggest. This is the biggest sports betting thing since Pete Rose, essentially.
I couldn't, because when it's serious when they get the FBI involved.
Dude, they have the five mafia member families that form the mafia. The 5 families that are the center of the mafia all around the country are the people that are the masterminds behind this. 4 out of the 5 families. The Angiulo family, the Colangelo family, the
mafias, dude. It's just so stupid.
I think the Gambino family and what's the Bonanno family. The only family that wasn't involved in the indictment was, I believe, the Colombo family. So, 4 out of the 5 mafia families that run organized crime all over this entire goddamn country were the people that put this thing together. Like, that is...
Jesus, man.
You know the type of... you know the type of weight that voice carries. They're able to get people like Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, who's to say that they can't get LeBron working for them? Exactly. Or they can't have, Shaquille O'Neal saying ridiculous stuff on NBA primetime to throw people off from bets and stuff like that.
Who knows how it's going to be like?
This could be going in so many different directions, and I truly believe Kash Patel when he says this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, so we'll see in the coming weeks.
And then
we'll finish it off with some playoff talk.
Yeah, let's finish it off with the Union real quick.
We got one more team in the playoffs, the Union.
Phenomenal season. Yeah, they had a phenomenal season.
Your Supporters Shield winners will
yes,
play
indeed.
The Chicago Fire at 5:30 on Sunday, and then the second game will be Saturday the 1st at 6:30 in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things is that Philly has beaten Chicago both times that they've played them this year. One game being 1-0, and that was in Chicago. And then the one game that they had here at home, they won 4-0. And kind of after the first 20 minutes really opened the floodgates on the Fire. And all 5 goals came from different goal scorers, which I think is kind of crazy. The fact that all 5 of these goals came from different people. Bruno Damiani scored on a penalty. Ty Baribo and Kai Wagner, I believe, both scored off of corners or set pieces. And then Danley Jean-Jacques and Milan Olaski were the last 2 to score goals against Chicago. And first team, obviously, to get to 2 wins is going to advance. I'm definitely going to be putting my money on the Union.
Which is... It's weird like that, how they got every team as first to 2 wins in the first round, and then after that, it's just
single
elimination.
Yeah, you would think that you would have the stuff later on towards the playoffs where it's, best to 2.
Yeah.
Or first to 2.
First to 2 or first to 3. Or,
right, you want to think that it would happen
legs.
at the first round. So that is a little strange how they do it.
But that's the MLS, so.
But I do think that the Union are not really going to have any trouble with the Fire. In the both games that they played against them, they had more shots. They had more shots on goal, more corner kicks, more set pieces, and more dead ball plays than the Fire did. And 3 of the 5 goals that they did score came from being a dead ball start of play. So whether that being a set piece, a corner kick, or a penalty shot. So the fact that... Oh yeah, also... The Fire committed a total of 41 fouls across the 2 games, which definitely shows, at least to me, that the Fire defense was struggling at a lot of times during those games and was trying to foul people to prevent the Union from getting clear goal scoring opportunities. I believe in the 2 games, the Union committed 34 fouls to the Fire's 41. So everything is kind of lining up in the Union favor, plus the fact that they're going to be at home. They should be able to, I think, win this first 2 games. I don't even think there's going to need to be a game 3.
There should be no competition in this series.
I don't want to say that it should be like a walk in the park or anything, but you did play them 2 games already, and on an aggregated score, beat them 5-0 and held them to 0 goals in both games. So
they've already seen them already. 5-0. They already know what they're looking at.
So it should be pretty easy pickings, I want to say, for the Union.
So hopefully the Union should get past in the playoffs, and then same with the Eagles, should be 6-2.
Hopefully,
should be, and then we'll definitely get more news to you about this betting mafia shit.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be stuff coming about this for months. We're gonna be able to talk about this whenever.
So we'll see you next week.